So you think genetics are the definitive cause of autism? Well, the fact is the National Institute of Health and the National Institute of Mental Health both clearly and emphatically state that the origins of autism remain a mystery, with genetics being only a potential factor amongst many.
Join us as we uncover how authority and confirmation biases, coupled with cleverly delivered misleading information, have instilled public perception with the pervasive misconception of a genetic cause of autism.
Hi there, Simon Winovich here. Everyone just calls me Simo.
And my name is Sarah.
We're going to be your host for today's video, and we'd like to welcome you to the Ultimate Divergence Embracing Neurodiversity YouTube channel.
Are you struggling with life on the autism spectrum?
Are you open to or already engaged in spiritual practices?
Do you feel disconnected from traditional therapies for treating autism?
If so, then you're in the right place, because it's here where we deal with everything neurodivergent and we teach you how to become an ultimate divergent.
Hey there! Today, we embark on an eye-opening journey to debunk some common myths about autism and its supposed genetic basis. The narrative that autism is solely a genetic condition has shaped much of the current popular understanding. But what if there's more to the story? Stay tuned with us until the end, as we will introduce the ultimate divergence theory of autism, which shifts focus to possible environmental origins of autism, opening up a whole new, exciting world of possibilities.
Currently, the whole world in general believes that autism is genetically caused. Now, I regularly get comments and DMs on my Facebook page telling me that I'm completely wrong with my ultimate divergence theory of autism, with some people just straight out stating that I'm full of shit. And their argument for this is that everybody knows that autism is genetically caused. Well, when you get so-called trusted authority websites on autism emphatically stating that it is genetically caused, and popular autistic YouTube influencers echoing this claim, it's no wonder that the whole world population is suffering from this delusion. The National Institute of Mental Health, or NIMH, is a subgroup of the National Institute of Health, which is the largest medical research group in the world. Now, if you wanted to know for sure if autism is genetically caused, you should be able to go to one of their websites and they will emphatically state that autism is genetically caused. However, if you go to the NIMH website and you look under the heading, "What are the causes and risk factors for ASD?" the first sentence clearly states, "Researchers don't know the primary cause of ASD, but studies suggest that a person's genes can act together with aspects of their environment to affect development in ways that lead to ASD." And then on the NIH website, under the heading, "What causes autism?" the first sentence reads, "Scientists don't know exactly what causes autism spectrum disorder." And a following paragraph reads, "Because the disorder is so complex and no two people with autism are exactly alike, there are probably many causes for autism. It is also likely that there is not a single cause for autism, but rather that it results from a combination of causes." So there you have two leading authority websites on autism, clearly and emphatically stating that they do not know what causes autism and that studies only suggest that genes may interact with the environment in ways that could lead to autism. So a genetic cause for autism has never been conclusively proven in any way, shape or form. So guys, if you're liking what you see so far in this video, hit that subscribe button, give that notification bell a bit of a nudge so you'll know when my next video comes out. Give us a like because you help out my channel, and feel free to leave a comment below this video because your feedback is invaluable to me. So why is it that the world is afflicted with this mass delusion that autism is genetically caused? Well, I believe that is the result of a few different reasons. Firstly, I believe that authority and confirmation cognitive biases, which we're all susceptible to, play a major role. Add to that the use of deliberately misleading wording by the mental health establishment, and then add on top of that again the nefarious influences of the pharmaceutical industry upon all aspects of mental health. So to make my point, just consider the following quick video.
A great deal of evidence supports the idea that genes are one of the main causes of or a major contributor to ASD. More than 100 genes on different chromosomes may be involved in causing ASD to different degrees. Many people with autism have slight changes, called mutations, in many of these genes. However, the link between genetic mutations and autism is complex. Most people with autism have different mutations and combinations of mutations. Not everyone with autism has changes in every gene that scientists have linked to ASD. Many people without autism or autism symptoms also have some of these genetic mutations that scientists have linked to autism. This evidence means that different genetic mutations probably play different roles in ASD. For example, certain mutations or combinations of mutations might cause specific symptoms of ASD, control how mild or severe those symptoms are, increase susceptibility to autism. This means someone with one of these gene mutations is at greater risk for autism than someone without the mutation. If someone is susceptible to ASD because of genetic mutations, then certain situations might cause autism in that person. For instance, an infection or contact with chemicals in the environment could cause autism in someone who is susceptible because of genetic mutations. However, someone who is genetically susceptible might not get an ASD even if he or she has the same experiences.
Now, if that was a real doctor narrating that video, nobody could be blamed for taking on the absolute belief that autism is genetically caused. However, there are some very powerful factors at play here that need to be taken into consideration.
Firstly, we have to consider authority bias. Authority bias is a cognitive bias where individuals are more likely to be influenced by the opinions and judgments of authority figures, often without critically evaluating the content. This bias can lead people to accept information or follow instructions simply because it comes from someone perceived as an authority. For example, in a medical setting, patients might follow a doctor's advice unquestioningly because of the doctor's perceived authority, even if they don't fully understand or agree with the recommendation. Similarly, in a workplace, employees might accept a manager's decision without question, even if they have reservations about it. Authority bias can be particularly relevant in group decision-making, where it might suppress dissenting opinions and lead to the acceptance of flawed ideas. It's important to be aware of this bias to ensure that decisions are made based on the merit of the information, rather than the status of the person delivering it.
So while watching that video, authority bias may have been causing you to take on the absolute belief that autism is genetically caused, just because the words were being spoken by a doctor. Now, we also need to take into consideration confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias is a cognitive bias where individuals tend to seek out, interpret, and remember information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs or values. This bias can lead people to give more weight to evidence that supports their views, while ignoring or dismissing evidence that contradicts them. People are more likely to look for information that supports their existing beliefs. Individuals may interpret ambiguous evidence as supporting their existing attitudes. People tend to remember information that confirms their beliefs more readily than information that challenges them.
So when watching that video, if a person is already predisposed to believe that autism is genetically caused, they will unconsciously omit words that are being spoken so that the sentence reads in such a way that it confirms their preconceived beliefs. And the fact that the wording used is deliberately misleading will further increase the likelihood that their confirmation and authority biases will cause them to take on the belief that autism is genetically caused. Advertising companies have understood for years the power of using deliberately misleading wording to influence people's beliefs through the manipulation of their authority and confirmation cognitive biases. From the mid-1940s till the early 1950s, doctors were used to advertise Camel cigarettes through the slogan, "More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette." So if you were to watch that video again of that doctor talking about a genetic cause of autism, but this time watch very closely for any misleading wording that may be used, By the end of that video, it's highly likely that you're going to be starting to think that it is actually an advertisement for some sort of product. Well, the problem is that wording is lifted directly from the NIH website. So let's go and have a closer look at that wording to see exactly what's going on here.
The first sentence in our video states, "A great deal of evidence supports the idea that genes are one of the main causes of, or a major contributor to ASD." Firstly, evidence is not proof. Evidence is just a clue that something may be true, whereas proof shows that something is undeniably true. Next, there is the words, "supports the idea." Idea just means that it is a theory that is as yet unproven. So, when they say a great deal of evidence supports the idea that genes are one of the main causes of or contributor to ASD, they are saying that they have a lot of clues that support their unproven theory, that genes could be one of the main causes of autism, or perhaps a contributing factor, but they are not sure of which, or even if it is either at all. The next sentence we have is, "More than 100 genes on different chromosomes may be involved in causing ASD to different degrees." The key word here is may. This means they consider it a possibility, but they cannot be sure. The next sentence reads, "Many people with autism have slight changes, called mutations, in many of these genes." When they say many people with autism, they are also saying not all people with autism. So not all people with autism have the identified genes. Without being able to identify a gene that is consistent in all cases of autism, you cannot claim in any way that genetics is causal. And in fact, all their evidence shows so far is that genes are not a required component for autism to occur. Next, there is the sentence, "However, the link between genetic mutations and autism is complex. Most people with autism have different mutations and combinations of mutations." The word link is another misleading word. It implies that they have made a positive connection between genetic mutations and autism. If I note that ice cream consumption and drownings go up in summertime, I have linked the two because they both occur in summer, but in no way does the link show that high ice cream consumption causes drownings. The claim that the link between genetic mutations and autism is complex is also misleading. The word complex just denotes that despite the link they have created, they have yet to establish any solid proof that the one causes the other. Trying to prove that high ice cream consumption causes drownings would be a complex task indeed. Next, we have the sentence, "Not everyone with autism has changes in every gene that scientists have linked to ASD." Again, the words, "not everyone," denote that they are saying that there is no consistency to their findings. Then we have the sentence, "Many people without autism or autism symptoms also have some of these genetic mutations that scientists have linked to autism." This sentence tells you that even if you have the identified genes, it does not mean you automatically have autism. This is telling you that the genetic mutations on their own do not cause autism. The sentence, "This evidence means that different genetic mutations probably play different roles in ASD," is again non-conclusive. As we said before, evidence is not proof, and the word probably shows that it is just a guess. Then we have the sentence, "For example, certain mutations or combinations of mutations might cause specific symptoms of ASD, control how mild or severe those symptoms are, and increase susceptibility to autism, which means someone with one of these gene mutations is at greater risk for autism than someone without the mutation." This section can be read incorrectly if one is not careful. We have to keep in mind the word might when reading the three statements that follow it. The exclusion of the word might from these three statements completely changes their meaning. By clever placement of the word might, that allows them to exclude it from the following statements, those who are not critical thinkers can easily read the statements as being absolute. When you add the word might in the proper places, you again see that it is all just unproven theories. In the next sentence, if someone is susceptible to ASD because of genetic mutations, then certain situations might cause autism in that person. As previously established, there is no conclusive proof that genetic mutations cause a person to be more susceptible to autism, and again the word might clearly shows that it is also just an unproven theory. Then next, we have the sentence. For instance, an infection or contact with chemicals in the environment could cause autism in someone who is susceptible because of genetic mutations, where again we must point out that there is no conclusive proof that genetic mutations cause a person to be more susceptible to autism. The word could, again, shows that this is just a guess. Finally, we have the sentence. However, someone who is genetically susceptible might not get an ASD, even if he or she has the same experiences, where yet again we must remind that there is no conclusive proof that genetic mutations cause a person to be more susceptible to autism, and the word might again shows it is all just supposition.
So as previously noted, this kind of wording is used by advertising companies to influence people into buying the products that they're advertising. So when we're looking at this information on the NIH website about a genetic cause for autism, we have to ask ourselves, are they actually advertising a genetic cause for autism? I mean, if the whole world is led to believe that autism is genetically caused, is this somehow translating into huge profits for somebody somewhere? The pharmaceutical industry influences the mental health establishment on all levels. Of all the mental health experts that got together to discuss what went into the last edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM-5, 65% of them had ties to the pharmaceutical industry. Now, the pharmaceutical industry can't directly bribe, for want of a better word, doctors, but they get around this by getting them invites to mental health seminars where they're paid exorbitant fees to speak. Having individuals believe that their autism is genetic and that therefore their symptoms are unchangeable creates lifetime customers for the pharmaceutical industry. The $80 billion they paid out in fines for fraudulent practices since 1980 is testament to the fact that their interests are not about their customers' welfare at all. So one of the first wisdoms I took on when I first went to university to study a Bachelor of Psychology degree was to choose my beliefs wisely, as my beliefs had the power to either empower me or imprison me. Now, the same goes for whatever autism theory you choose to take on as an absolute belief. And to me, the theory that autism is genetically caused is a disempowering belief, because it tells you that autism is biological and therefore unchangeable. So I didn't realise I was on the spectrum until the age of 50. At the age of 25, I took on the belief that all of my life problems were due to the negative emotions stored within my traumatic memories, and of those I had a multitude. So that sent me on a 25-year quest to learn how to dissipate that negative emotion from my traumatic memories. Well, by the time I reached 50 and realised I was on the spectrum, I'd managed to clear most of those traumatic memories, and I existed in a place of relative peace, contentment and acceptance of my life and who I was. One of the first things I did when I realised I was on the spectrum was I went and joined a heap of Asperger's and autism Facebook groups. And one of the first things I noticed was that many of the people in these groups were struggling with challenges that I had managed to overcome. And they believed that those challenges were unchangeable because they were a result of autism, which was genetically caused. Now, while they held on to those beliefs, they were not open in any way to any suggestions from me that those challenges were in fact highly changeable. So the moral of that story is that if you're not actively looking for something, you have very little hope of actually finding it. And the bottom line is, choose your autism theories wisely, because they have the power to either imprison you or empower you.
So, in conclusion, guys, regardless of how much supporting evidence they claim supports their theory of a genetic cause of autism, all that they can honestly say, based upon this evidence, is that the identified genes may play a role in increasing susceptibility when they are present, but they are not a required component for autism to occur. The same goes for theories for other possible biological causes of autism. They all, as yet, remain being far from conclusively proven. So, until they do conclusively prove that autism is genetically caused, all other theories of a possible cause for autism are still on the table.
So as per my ultimate divergence theory of autism, I believe it comes about as a response to an adverse environmental event, but that is a subject for another video. So in the meantime, for those of you who want to know more about my ultimate divergence theory of autism, there's a link in the description below to one of my blog posts where I go into detail about it. There's also a link to another one of my blog posts where I explain why I believe autism is a cognitive entity with an environmental cause. And there's also a link to my Facebook page where I keep you up to date with all my latest blog posts, all my latest videos, and all things neurodivergent.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you will know when our next video comes out. Give this video a like if you feel to do so, because you are helping out our channel, and share this video with anybody you think may benefit from the information it contains. Drop a comment below to let us know any thoughts or insights you may have after watching this video. Your feedback is invaluable to us.
So as per usual, to all you guys that are still with us here at the end of this video, you absolute bloody champions, and until next time, we'll catch you later.